There are two kinds of podcasts. One is like the one you heard live today and maybe live tomorrow as part of the festival, where you have people talking to each other. And I do think the secret to that kind of podcast is a kind of chemistry, this sort of exact balance between feeling like you want to be part of that, you're part of that conversation, but not like you're excluded. You, the listener, is kind of, these are your friends and you want to hang out with them and you are in some way included and you want to feel like you can talk back to it, and they have a chemistry which feels very natural but not exclusive. So I think that's the secret of a chatty podcast. Now, Invisibilia is a completely different entity. It's a storytelling podcast, and so the idea of the show is invisible forces that shape human behavior, like expectations or norms of a workplace, and we tell these rich, elaborate stories in order to kind of illustrate something about your life that you didn't even know was acting on you. And so the idea is, if you can't see the forces acting on you, you can't do anything about them. You can't change them. So these are things that are acting on your behavior and the way you are, and we try and sort of bring them to light through these elaborate human stories. I have to say, I am new to that kind of podcasting. I've for a long time done that same thing, but in writing. To me, it's just like, it's absolutely beautiful to have that kind of access to somebody's consciousness. Like, to deliver, like, the way it works is that you actually, it's so intimate because you don't see anything, it's not television, you're not reading anything, so you can't go back. You are in someone's mind. And if we capture the interview correctly, which is very hard to do, in order to do an interview like that, you sort of create a therapy session. You have to create an absolutely safe space for somebody to be able to tell their story and inhabit it. It's very hard to do an interview like that and do it well. But if you do, and then you manage to tell the story well, like it's almost like, you know, the wish we all have that you could get out of your own consciousness. I have that wish. Is that weird? Anyway, the wish to get out of your own consciousness and live in someone else's consciousness, that's what a beautiful podcast allows you to do. Just as like it's a voice in your ear and you're living in someone else's mind and sort of seeing reality the way they see it in the most intimate way.
Agora, você tem uma experiência pessoal de empatia com eleitores do Trump, porque a sua mãe, seu irmão e até a sua cunhada brasileira são apoiadores do Trump, e ela, inclusive, é apoiadora do Bolsonaro também, a cunhada brasileira. Mas você fez uma entrevista com a sua mãe no programa do Jake Eisenberg, que teve aqui também ano passado, falando sobre o Trumpcast. Quem teve aqui ano passado ouviu. Então, a Hanna foi no programa do Trumpcast e entrevistou a mãe dela, durante as eleições ainda, antes do Trump ser eleito, a respeito de por que ela apoiava o Trump, quais eram os motivos. E foi uma conversa que eu fiquei muito impressionada. Eu acho que se fosse minha mãe eu tinha estapeado. Não tinha assim, nenhuma chance de ser uma conversa civilizada, uma conversa carinhosa, uma conversa de diferenças, uma explicando para a outra. Você fez todas as perguntas difíceis, mas de maneira respeitosa. Era sua mãe, a pergunta acaba, o telefonema acaba uma dizendo, eu te amo e tal. Como foi que você fez e como é que você lida com isso? Com a sua família trumpista e bolsonarista.
Okay, truth time. I've talked to my mother about Donald Trump maybe 1,000 times. 999, I'm like, fuck, I hate Donald. But then one time, which was on the radio, I was like, I love you too. Oh my God. I mean, that's kind of the truth. But this is why I'm not that ideological. Like, I think this is the other side of us, like me, like where the world I live in and all my friends who are like, oh my God, how could Trump be elected? And oh my God, it's like, that's not a way to live either. Like, to live in that little bubble where you can't possibly imagine anything. It's like, I'm grateful to have a family who votes for Trump. Like, I'm grateful that I understand a little bit, like, where they're coming from and what drives them crazy about American politicians and Hillary Clinton and the way they talk and like what seems unreal to them. And, you know, it forces my brain into thinking like, why was Donald Trump elected? Like, there's a kind of capitalism that happened in America where we just like didn't care. There is actually some real like like unhappiness there. Donald Trump is not the answer to that unhappiness, but there really is some unhappiness there about which you know, you have to take some account of. It's very easy to just like go to a protest and say he's terrible, people are terrible, how could they vote for him? But it's a little harder to actually think to yourself like, why? Like, what is it that people are so unhappy about? And why is that ugliness so close to the surface? And why are those doors so easy to open? You know? And so I know this is a stupid thing to say. This is so Invisibilia and like so like understand everybody. I can't help the way my brain works, but I do feel some gratitude that I have an opportunity to understand a little bit. Because otherwise, what are you left with? You're like, they're monsters. And they look at you and say, you're a monster, and then we're stuck. I mean, that's where we are now.